So it might not just be that you're lonely at the top because you've got 100 people and you only know five of them.
Mhm.
It's also lonely because of the burdens that you have as a founder. My team doesn't understand some of the financial difficulties that I've went through. They don't understand
Mhm.
all of the history of the company because the company's older than they've been here, and
Mhm.
so it can start to get lonely in different ways. And so the way that I've helped solve that for myself is having advisors in the business, or other maybe members of your board, or people that you can really trust and talk to.
I'm Julie B, and they don't teach this in business school. Hey there, I'm Julie B, and you're listening to They Don't Teach This in Business School, a podcast where we discuss business ownership lessons that are learned through experience, not in a classroom or seminar. On today's show, I'm interviewing Jonathan Fishbeck, the founder and CEO of Estate Space. I know we are going to have a really great conversation. Jonathan has a lot of experience as a business owner, and he's got a lot of lessons that I'm sure are going to help you all listening today. So, Jonathan, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. So, let's get this thing started.
Sounds great. I appreciate you having me here today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, let's just start with tell us about yourself and about Estate Space. Give us a little background on everything you've got going on.
Yeah, so at a high level, a serial entrepreneur. So I'm a three-time founder. I came out of high-end construction management. So our projects were typically between like $4 and $40 million. We really had a lot of success, and with that success led to some really great problems that we're now solving here at Estate Space. This last venture was born of service, but I was able to apply my technology background. So by education, I was a computer scientist, and my father's business was in IT as well. So I've been around technology my whole life. And so it was kind of taken, everything, the sum and cumulative total, if you will, of my professional and personal life, and kind of bringing all that to the forefront here with the state space.
Yeah, so give us a little a bit of an idea of what Estate Space is.
Yeah, yeah, no. So Estate Space is a cloud management platform. We are SaaS B2B. We help family offices, high-end construction firms, and then property and estate management companies better manage very complex operations, both internally, externally, and with their clients, with their family members. And we're able to streamline all of those things with one product, one platform. Our main focus was trying to figure out what was the kind of the common threads amongst all of those different personas, and we were able to identify their non-financial assets under management. They all have properties, they all do projects. And so it's really great to be able to have a tech business that's solving problems from a service experience, because we have a really deep understanding of the issues that we face, disparate technologies, multi-channel communication, it's very disparate data, right? So how do we
Mm-hmm.
bring all of those things together, and then being able to just have such a great connection with all of the people that we're helping with Estate Space. And I'd say that was, when the genesis of the company, it was really born on the idea that we can just help so many people that share the same problem that we have. And, even today, that still holds true. Everyone I talk to that we're working with, or are looking to work with us, we just continue to find that we've really solved for something that so many people have shared our struggles. And so it's been, a very rewarding venture thus far.
Jonathan, as a three-time founder, obviously you like being a business owner. So what is your favorite part about being a founder of businesses?
I think my favorite part is getting through the hard parts to find the success, and maybe what might be the easier chapters in the book that you write as a business owner. But I always have a deep appreciation for the people around me, right? So I've always taken more of an approach of just being humbled to be on a team, surrounding myself with great people that do things that I don't do so well. And that's really probably been my favorite part, has been the people part of every business that I've started. And they've all had their ups and their downs when it comes to some of the challenges that we're facing. But I think as a business, but I think the people part of it is the part that, you get really good people, you get a great team, and you try to keep that team together as long as possible to kind of win as many championships as you can together. So
What's one of the most proud moments you've had of your for your team or of your team over the past, let's just say, year or so? What's like a moment that really stands out to you?
I think that so the moment that's probably the greatest moment we've had is for myself is realizing, as a CEO, as a product owner, dealing with financials, like, all these hats that you wear.
Hmm.
I've now been able to take all those hats off because I have such an amazing group of people. There's 12 of us here at Estate Space, and everybody is just a great team member. And so watching our team take over and being able to kind of pass things off with confidence, that's probably in the last year, but been our greatest moment as a company.
You mentioned just a little bit ago about one of your favorite parts being getting through the hard part to actually get to the success. Do you have a particular hard moment that stands out to you, that made that once you got through it, that the success was just like extra special and extra sweet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's today, right? So we're breaking through as a company right now. We're scaling clients, we're scaling all the fun SaaS metrics that we'd always hoped for. So I mean, I think today's been is the most exciting time in estate space. But I'd say that, the moment that really defined today it was the summer of 2019, where we're kind of just starting off. We were kind of in managed security services, and I met a great advisor, Barry Liebert, who and I also had hired a great consultant in Mark Wallace, and those two, really helped me right the ship and realize that I wanted to be a SaaS B2B platform with a vertical focus on high net worth. And so I had these great ideas, but it was really that summer of 19 was like honing in what we wanted this company to be. And now that we're realizing, we're going to be the number one choice for cloud management for non-financial assets. That's for the market that we set out and intended to help. It's just phenomenal. So really, really glad I made some pretty hard choices in that summer, but that was a great pivot moment, and that's led to today.
Do you feel like you made any mistakes during that time that if you could do it again, you would do it over, you would change the decision you made at that time?
How many mistakes have we made? More than I can count, right? Fingers and toes. So yeah, no, I'd say that the thing that I learned in that part of the journey was that I should have started with advisors. I should have really, Mark taught me to slow down to speed up, right? That was an amazing thing that I take today. I said it earlier today to our team, right?
Hmm.
So that moment of the realization that happened later that year in 2019 of, man, I really wish I would have started with great advice. I really wish I would have slowed down in the beginning and really understood what it was that I wanted to do. And that's a tough lesson for me personally,
Yeah.
because I'm an exciting person. Like I love what I do. I love what we're doing. I love the people that I do it with. So I'm always ready to get going. But
Yeah.
I've really learned to slow down. I think that is an attribute that has taken me a couple of years to get to, and it's still something that is a sticky on my desk that reminds me every day to just take a deep breath, be methodical, execute,
Yeah.
just the next thing in front of me. So like many, I'm constantly reminding myself of those things that have helped us find the success that we have today.
Patience is one of the keys to acceleration. I think, you have to slow down, and sometimes you have to, not necessarily just sit back and wait, but you have to give things time to marinate a little bit. And that's so hard because you just want that thing to happen. But sometimes you plant those seeds and you have to wait and have that patience. You can go do a bunch of other things while you're waiting. But yeah, that slowing down to speed up and just having patience to let some things come to fruition is such an important skill for business owners to learn, because we
Yeah.
all want everything yesterday. I think that's also kind of our in our DNA. I'm certainly that way, for sure.
And that's especially hard in technology
Yeah.
today, right? We're agile, we can do things pretty quickly, comparatively speaking, but when it comes to you know, being patient, knowing that you're going to get a lot of feedback, you're going to get a lot
Hmm.
of input. A lot of times, our clients are going to come to us with the solution versus the problem, right? If it could just do this or that. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the big differentiators for us, right, aside from coming out of service and not having like been in technology for the last 20 years, right? So we're not just technologists. We've lived the problem, but then really listening. In our previous venture, we had to listen really well in order to find success, and so we brought that attribute with us to the forefront. And so when you're a tech company and you're getting feedback, it's about really listening and then coming back with a truly thoughtful answer, because a lot of times our clients are going to bring us what they need or what they want, how it might work in their mind, but they're not thinking about scalability. They're not thinking about future horizons of growth for your business, right? They're thinking about a point in time solution that they need today. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, having patience and listening and then being able to come back with a thoughtful answer, we found that really serves us well. And today being like a really exciting time for us, we have over 1,000 members on our platform now. We've got 60 plus clients. And so for us right now and that's a lot of that growth has been like in the last 3 or 4 months now. Just tremendous growth since just before Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're slowing down, right? We're not developing new features. We're focusing on what we have. We're applying feedback. It's so being able to kind of up-rev our entire platform to fit our clients' needs. We're really focused on building that trust with our clients that we will listen, we will come back with a thoughtful answer. So it's like all of this is great, but you
Yeah.
really do have to practice these things to prove to your clients, especially early on, that you can do these things well, and that you'll continue to have them first and foremost, front of mind, because I think, as we all know, it's definitely easier to keep and grow clients that you have versus trying to go get new ones. So we take that to heart here at Estate Space.
Hey, this is Julie B, and you're listening to They Don't Teach This in Business School. I'm here with Jonathan Fishbeck, and we were just talking about the growth that you're having, and from team members to the growth in terms of client success, and also growth in terms of all of the things that are going on in technology these days. Jonathan, given all of the stuff that I'm sure is you have in your mind, how do you make sure that you are working on the really important high impact activities that you need to do to continue growing every day?
Yeah, so I only try to do a couple of things. As our CEO, it's my job to raise capital and govern our business to success. It's my job to work through my CTO on product development, or work through my VP of Sales and Marketing on go-to-market strategies. So I think when it comes to how I do that, it's the same thing that I'm bringing to our clients through technology, which is really trying to be very more intentional about how I operate as an individual, how I operate with my direct team, and then how our overall team is operating. So I think having great intention is very important. It's much harder said than done, because especially when you're first starting out, right, you have to do a lot of things by virtue of being a startup. But I think once you get to a point like this where you want to grow your business, you can only do that if you're going to do one thing really well. So I want to be the best founder and CEO for Estate Space. I love product development. I love sales, and I love all the other aspects of a business. But I have the kind of the courage to be able to hand those things off and really just focus on what it is that I need to be doing. And so I think going in with that clarity and mindset, that's what helps me stay focused. And again, like I said, type of person I am. I want to do other things, but it's once you realize that you don't have to do everything,
Yeah.
it's not something you want to do, right? My number one goal is to be able to spend as much time with my family as possible, right? So I can't do that if I'm 3 different major roles in an organization.
And what do you find has helped you delegate to those major pieces of your organization, and really trust the people who are running that? Obviously, hiring, right, is part of that, but then once they're in there, do you have any tips about actually delegating and letting it go?
Yeah, so once you delegate something, so first we delegate, right? And so that's great. In theory, it sounds great. What you can't do is you can't undermine your own delegation. So you have to have to, you have to let the people that you've delegated these responsibilities to go and do the work. So the delegation doesn't just start, it doesn't start and stop with the decision that I'm no longer going to do this role for the company. It's I'm no longer going to do this role, and anything that has to do with this, I'm just going to ask for it. I'm not going to try and do it myself, right? And so it's I think from a long-term like sustainability, you have to let these people that you've put in charge be in charge of what they're in charge of. And so that in itself is another, the other side of that coin in delegation. And I think what you'll end up finding is the way in which you want people to come to you, right? I want someone to come to me with a specific answer for things that I'm able to answer. You want to have that same respect and that same insight when you're bringing things to your team. So just a good way in which I'm able to kind of practice and what I preach and kind of follow those simple rules and that I put in place for myself, with others on my team.
And it's interesting. You have all of these people around you, and one thing though, even kind of across the board, I hear from business owners and founders, whether they have 2 employees or 200 or 500 even. Sometimes there's a lonely at the top type of feeling, and I'm wondering if you have ever experienced that.
I for sure. So, this company's 12 people will probably grow to 36 to 40, and be able to sustain a lot of revenue growth, just because of the way that we're built. But prior to this, our company was 50 to 60 people in construction management. We were managing around 1,200 people globally on that team. So, with everything, it kind of starts one way, but it ends up being a different way. And so it was definitely through my last venture where it was lonely at the top, right? I only had maybe a handful of people that I actually worked with in the company. You kind of have this idea when you're founding a business that you're going to know everybody and you're going to know all your clients. I still say this to this day, but I don't know all of our clients. And at some point in growth, you're just not going to have a close relationship with everyone in the company. But that might be a direct day to day. So what I found in kind of curbing some of that feeling is making sure that you have built-in touch points with your team in a way that's impactful to your operation, and to the kind of the core of the business, right? So making sure that these touch points aren't just because we're going to do it, but they're gonna bring value. They might bring inspiration. You might gain inspiration. And doing those in smaller groups, again, corporate retreat, right? You start to dilute some of those things. So, you start to do some of these offsites with, 50, 60 people. It's going to be, you're still going to be at a table talking to 8 people at dinner. So, making sure that you take time to really focus on maybe smaller groups in the organization. And again, I always look to listen before I speak. And so really just gaining insights from your team. I think that's a good way to stay connected, because you can't manage everybody.
You're listening to They Don't Teach This in Business School, and I'm the host, Julie B. I'm here with Jonathan Fishbeck, and we were just talking about how to not be lonely at the top, how to kind of curtail some of that as a business owner. And Jonathan, kind of on the same side of that, I'm wondering, have you ever gone through burnout as a founder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I was just burned out maybe 2 months ago. And being lonely at the top too, to kind of to build on that, as you just sparked another thought, is there's another side to that coin. So it might not just be that you're lonely at the top because you've got 100 people and you only know 5 of them. It's also lonely because of the burdens that you have as a founder. My team doesn't understand some of the financial difficulties that I've went through. They don't understand all of the history of the company because the company's older than they've been here, and so it can start to get lonely in different ways. And so the way that I've helped solve that for myself is having advisors in the business, or other maybe members of your board, or people that you can really trust and talk to, and just being transparent about those things. It's so many times you feel like it's like it's my burden, right? I'm going to carry this, but I've learned to be able to talk about that, being transparent with like
Hmm.
the other executives in the company and my advisor, and that helps solve kind of that other lonely at the top feeling that you can get as a founder. Um,
Yeah, it's
so
interesting how those two can play together. They can really, it's kind of a cycle of, I feel like I can't talk to people, so I'm isolated, and that can cause burnout. And then if you're burned out, you feel maybe even more like you can't. So you've got to, I think that advice of making sure that you have people that you can really talk to about what's really going on, even if it's not internal, even if it's somebody external to the company, a mentor, a coach, just somebody that you trust that you can talk to is so important for business owners, because otherwise,
yeah,
yeah, it's a
you,
spin.
you got to have it. Like I
Yeah.
added Miss Sarah, so ended up getting another coach last August, and that was a great decision. Like
Mm-hmm.
that relationship with her, I've worked so much more on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great about that is that as I start to look back, like that's probably another one of those top moments, like you asked earlier,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like I'm so glad that I made that decision because in not knowing what it was going to do, because um, what ended up happening with that was I was able to find myself. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to work on some things all the way back to childhood. I was able to really make good progress on me. And now today, I wouldn't be, we're raising a series seed round of financing that's going to take us to positive cash and all these
Mm-hmm.
wonderful places in the world. But I wouldn't be ready for this moment as a founder and CEO if I hadn't worked on myself. So I think to your point, Julie B, it's like you really, 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 really can't forget about yourself.
Yeah.
And I always say you take care of yourself, you take care of your family, you come to work.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get burned out? I got burned out by not following my own 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
But taking care of yourself is not just physical; it's very much mental and emotional as well as a founder. And I feel like I really love where business in general is going in the world, and that there's so many great coaches, there's so many great resources
Mm-hmm.
out there to help you solve for this. It's just knowing that, you know, it's some of the best money, right? Investing
Mm-hmm.
in yourself, not just building a product or building
Yeah.
a team and a company that's of value, but also just remembering that, coaching and advisory services, they're definitely the best money I've ever spent in my
Yeah.
career.
And thank you for sharing that about coaching and the advisory services, because I think that sometimes there's a hesitancy to invest in yourself in that way. And the reality is leadership starts with self leadership, and in order to lead yourself, you have to know yourself really well, and you have those 1, 2, 3 priorities, and you know that if those priorities get messed up or get out of whack, that it's probably not going to end well. And the way that that is you've done a lot of self leadership, self discovery through working with coaches, and just probably your own self reflection. That is so important for people to hear, because there's so much value in a coach. I've worked with multiple coaches in multiple different ways as a business owner, and every one of them has impacted me, positively in one way or another. But mostly, it's been through helping me know myself better, which helps the business run better. I don't know if you've had
Yeah.
it sounds
And
like
to
you've
put
had a similar experience to that.
Yeah, and I think the bow tie kind of in between the lines of what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying too is that when you start to find a coach, you're like, oh, this is amazing, right? It's perfect, but it could just be perfect for a certain moment in
Mm-hmm.
time, a certain
Mm-hmm.
part of that journey, right? So it doesn't need to be that everybody's forever, and
Yeah.
typically in business, they're not. So, once you find those resources, get what you can out of them. They're
Mm-hmm.
there for you to do that. That's what their job is.
Yeah.
And so, but you may outgrow a coach and find a new coach. And so, it's just making sure you kind of keep that inclusive, open mindset as you move forward through this journey of entrepreneurship.
And the really good ones will tell you when that's starting to happen and help you find the next level coach. Like I've had that experience where I've had a coach say, "You're starting to outgrow me." And I think
Yep.
here's 3 other people that I want you to talk to select your next coach.
Right.
The really good ones, that they do that, they recognize that and see that coming. So, Jonathan, one thing I love to ask business owners is how do you define success?
Great question. I'd say that I'd probably go back to my number one currency in the world, which is relationship capital. So I think that I find my success is determined by the relationships that I have, personally and professionally, and how those are doing. I think that my would be a direct reflection of the success of
Mm,
my relationships within my life.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true that there's a lot of different ways that that can be said, but man, those relationships, whether they're so important. They're the thing that feed you when things are hard, and they're often the things that keep you going when things get hard. And a lot of the stuff we've talked about, being lonely at the top and burnout, I've found that one of the kind of cure-alls for that is to make sure you have those relationships and that you can rely on them when you need them.
Yeah, and don't be scared to ask for help. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, you asked me about my greatest moments. When I did a self-reflection and I did like a retrospective on all of the moments over the last 3, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time that I had achieved something that was like amazing, it was because I asked somebody for help.
Yeah.
And so, that's just a really good thing for anyone to remember, regardless of your role or where you are in an organization, not just for founders, but for anybody, right? Just having the ability to know that it's okay to ask for help and feeling safe in doing so. It's so much not my problem, but it's our problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to solve that together?
Yeah.
Same thing I try to do with my kids, right? Is let's be solutions oriented as a
Mm-hmm.
team. How can I help? Let's talk through it. And so a lot of times that can get lost in the shuffle when you're starting a company and things are moving really fast, and it's hard to maybe find that wisdom in those moments.
Jonathan, as we're coming to the end of the conversation today, this has been a great conversation. Learned a lot of great things. I've taken a lot of notes, but I do want to ask you the question I ask all business owners, which is, if you were going to teach a class to future entrepreneurs, what is the one major thing you'd want them to take away from your class?
I would say uh, I think that with everything that you do, no matter what you're solving for, I would want people to take away kind of like the care, love, inclusivity. I've found that, and I've actually I've done a class,
Mm-hmm.
and in that class, that was kind of that was my message, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that anything that you do, make sure that you care about what you do, that you love it, that you care about the people that you're doing it for. And that and that no matter what you think, even, and this is a class where I'm talking to people that are in the ultra high net worth market, and
Mm-hmm.
everything's an exclusive. But having an inclusive mindset doesn't just mean that some of the things that you might do might not be financially obtainable to others,
Mm-hmm.
but just being inclusive and having that mindset allows you the opportunities to to find relationships in places that you might not have thought you could find them. And if you look really, really close, those are the ones that have helped change my life as a founder, and I know for others that I would teach, it would help change theirs as well. So
That is, yeah, absolutely. Inclusivity, that inclusive mindset, and just the care, the love, the compassion. That we need a lot more of that in the world. And I think business owners are in a unique position to model that behavior for themselves, for their teams, for their communities. So I think that's a really great answer. Jonathan, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And why don't you just share one more time where people can find out about Estate Space and connect with you if they want to.
awesome. No, thank you so much for the time today. I really enjoyed it as well. I'm Jonathan Fishbeck, founder and CEO at Estate Space. We're at estatespace.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. Please connect with me, anybody and everybody that might listen to this and want to have a conversation. I truly do want to connect with as many people in the world as possible, and give back wherever I can, and get whatever I can get. So Thank you so much.
All right, and that is it for this episode, but stay tuned because I'll be back soon with more lessons learned on the business owner's journey. I'm Julie B, and they don't teach this in business school.